Electric machines are here, but they're not the panacea for all applications. Hydrogen machines are exciting, but they remain a long way off. So if we're to reduce our environmental impact while reducing costs, we need to figure out how to maximise the fuels we have today. And a data-driven company called MachineMax does just that. Jennifer, tell me about MachineMax. What is MachineMax?
Thanks, Mark. We're an equipment management platform. So what that means is we will consolidate all machine data coming from machines for existing telematics, third party. Also, we'll provide hardware for non-connected machines so that you have all your machine data in one place. And we'll bring in contextual data to understand why machines are operating in a certain way on site.
Now, just before we came on air, you and I were talking about fuel specifically. Obviously, there is a big focus on electric machines here. We've got hydrogen machines coming down the pipe as well, but we're not there yet. But MachineMax has a solution to help reduce fuel consumption right here, right now.
Yeah, so to give an example, in February this year, we just did an analysis in our database of construction equipment, really the vanilla yellow kit, over 1,700 pieces of equipment. There was 1.3 million litres of fuel burnt, but the machines idled 45% of the time in UK on construction sites in February. And that's mind-blowing. Like, that is something that you could significantly decrease without even having to change to electric machines and hydrogen, which is still a while away. And so there's a lot of things that we can do now to solve and improve that situation, particularly with red diesel rebates falling away tomorrow.
Now, with that in mind, what can your system do? Is it a case of advising the owners and the operators of those machines and then putting training in place, or could we go even further than that and have auto idle or even auto shutdown on machines powered by telematics?
So for one, it's putting all the data in a single place, which is really hard to do, particularly with the fragmented nature of UK, where a lot of the equipment's not owned by the construction or the contractors, it's rented. And so it's really hard to get that full picture of your machines on one site. And that's what we do. We bring that in, we tell you how much idling is happening, when it's happening in real time, and where it's happening. So we're giving you the tools to then go and say, okay, I can see this machine is idling for 10 minutes. Let me go and advise them as, you need to go turn it off. And it's not always down to operators. Often it's down to site design. That could be bad, and more often than not, that's what we see the cause is. But we're also in Journey, relatively new company. The next step for us is really implementing a good change management solution where it is, to your point, alerting someone in real time without someone having to look in the platform and just say, turn off your machine right now. Like you're not doing good things.
One of the things that we've covered quite a bit on this show in the past is this idea of the gamification of systems. This sounds like an ideal opportunity for that, to have teams of operators, how low can you get your fuel consumption, follow it with the telematics and literally reduce the idling hours to virtually zero, I guess.
Yeah. Gamification is something that comes up a lot, and definitely you can go that route and it would help. I think to earlier points, it's not always due to the operator, and we don't see that you will ever be able to get down to zero idling. There's also some realities on site where people idle because maybe it's 0 degrees and they want to stay warm in their machine. And then it's our responsibility as companies to say, what else can we do? Can we put an electric heater in that machine so that the operator doesn't need to keep the machine on? So gamification definitely helps, and that will get it down in terms of driver behaviors, but then there's still some work to do thereafter or in parallel to improve that.
Coming away from that need to keep warm, and frankly, I'm sat in a cabin right now with the heating on, so I can relate to that entirely. But one of the things that did your analysis of those machines look at individual types of machines? Because from my experience, things like site dumpers and cabins and generators, they're the ones that seem to be the worst culprits for idling when they don't need to be.
Yeah, I can't whittle off the stats off the top of my head, but yes, there definitely is an impact, not only on machine type, but also application. So we also work in aggregates and mining, and there it's significantly less idling, but that's because there's been historically so much focus on it. And so it's really considered an extremely bad habit in those industries. So it does vary machine type and application, and also even within construction, bulk earthworks, depending on what exactly it is that you're doing, we do see various rates.
Now we've obviously talked about the fact that if you could reduce idling time and shut the machine off, that would be a cost saving. But we're also talking about a very significant environmental saving here as well, aren't we?
Yeah, CO2. And that brings to another point, in that in the industry there is data standards, and that facilitates the sharing of this data so that you can get it into a centralized dashboard. But the data standards aren't well geared for the advent of net zero, because everyone's calculating it off diesel. But now one of the great things that's happening in the industry is people are looking at alternate fuels. And so as an industry, we also need to work together to define data standards so that not just MachineMax, but anyone who wants to report on the implication of CO2 and fuels calculated correctly. We need to know what the engine tier is. We need to know what fuel type the machine is using so that we can improve those calculations. But the baseline is the fundamental, and from there we can look at how to improve.
That's been absolutely fascinating. Tell people where they can find out more about MachineMax.
www.MachineMax.com. We are based out of London, and happy to chat.